Hey, how's that for sound? All right, let's try that again. I just fixed it. Good morning. Again, sorry for the sound and for running late today. I had to reboot my computer. So, my name is Samantha Mirabal. I'm with Melco's application team doing our live today. If you have questions while we're live, type them in on the chat and I will get them answered and see what we can do. I'll start off with the questions that were sent in ahead of time. Again, type them in the chat. Don't send them privately. I don't see those if you have some questions while we're live. Is the sound better? Let me know. So I'm going to assume it's good because my little studio thing here is bouncing around. All right, excellent. Okay, so this one, I'm having trouble when designing circles, outlining them in a bean stitch. Sometimes it registers off or comes out like an egg, things like that. What are some good practices to make sure they line up? Do you know which way the fabric pushes or pulls? So yes, all of that. So first and foremost, when you are doing things like that, filled circles and whatnot, making sure you have excellent stabilizer and good underlay is first and foremost the most important thing, right? Because when you do that, it avoids it from shifting around. Because if you don't have good underlay, by default, things are going to move and nothing's going to register. The other thing is if the larger the fill area gets, the more you're going to have to test to see what you need to do to make it work. So we'll start off with push-pull, which is what's happening in what direction. All right, so I'm going to change this to 90 degrees because it's easier to look at. Or 0, excuse me. Nope, 90. There we go. All right, so in this case, the stitches are running this way. All right, so you've got push and you have pull, right? So the stitches, because it's sewing side to side, as it's sewing side to side, the fabric here is going to try to push up and down, right? So it's going to push in the direction perpendicular to what you're sewing, all right? So my push direction will be up and down, right? In that direction. Whereas my pull, how much it's going to shrink in, is going to be this direction. So how can you compensate for that, right? So like I said, make sure you have good underlay, that the underlay is relatively close to your edge. It's nice and secure. You're using excellent stabilizers. The bigger this gets, you're going to have to compensate for the fact that it's pushing and pulling, right? Sometimes it's as little as 4 points, but you can come in here and distort. Now I'm overdoing it crazily, all right? So you can come in here and distort it knowing that it's going to push out, right? So I can shrink it and make it an oval on the screen knowing that when it pushes, it's going to push out, all right? Do I need to do that much? No. But all I'm doing to distort it is I'm holding my alternate key down so it does it from the center and I'm dragging it around. Okay, so that's one. But keep in mind when you do things like that, your border is going to stay in the same spot, right? So you might just come over here and distort it a little bit so that when it shifts out. Now, what's the downside to that? You got to test it, right? So test it on the materials you're going to run, make sure that's enough. If not, go again. The other way you can also do it is know that it's going to shrink and push, so you can always add pull compensation on it. But I always like doing it by points. 2 points is usually enough. That will add in this direction, right? So it's going to avoid or overstitch just a little bit, knowing that it's going to shrink up, okay? So that would be kind of how you do it. So it's going to, the stitches push the fabric and push the stitches out this way. It pulls this way. So really, depending on the size of what you're working on, you're going to have to deal with it differently. If it's small enough, just making sure you have a little bit of pull offset and then good underlay and good stabilizer, that's usually enough, right? Good morning, everyone. All right, so does that help any? Did that answer all the questions? Let's see. What are some good practices to make sure they line up? Keeping the fills small, keeping the density not super dense. The denser it is, the more stitches you have, the larger the effect is going to be on what it's trying to push. And really critically, having a good underlay, right? So that is really what's going to help it from being able to push. So if you tie everything down to your stabilizer and you have a nice cutaway stabilizer, it's not able to move. So when it goes to it, you're preventing motion, right? So that would be kind of my suggestions there. Explain the new tool to make borders. How you can make many different borders at the same time. So this is a new software option. So let's see let's open this design here. So I got these. This is in the designs that come with the software. It's under, where is it? File, let's see. Is it going to go to that area? Probably not. Nope. So C, designs, holidays, Halloween. It's in there. Anyway, that's where I grabbed it from, just to have something to use. So the border tool is this guy right here. Okay, so I select everything. I click on the border tool, and you'll see it gives me a rough estimate, and you can try different things, how strict you want it to be, relaxed. I like the relaxed. You can do convex, which will do more like a basting stitch. So you can play with those. And then here you can go, okay, I want more borders, and I want the additional borders to be different distances from the first border. Or maybe I want this one to be further away, and then these to be 50, I don't know. So you can play with it, the different settings. It will show you a preview. You also have the ability to smooth it out some. You see how it goes from kind of jagged to it smooths it out to make it a smoother border around there. And voila, now I got a bunch of borders around this thing, right? So I can come in here and give them different colors, different sizes, all of that type of stuff. So the new border tool is super handy for creating things quickly. So you can even do that with text, right? So that's kind of fun. Oh, I don't want that font. Let's see. Let's see that one. All right, so I can again go into the borders, maybe say 40 points away, and maybe I want to do 3 borders, 50 points for the opposite ones. Maybe I want to smooth it out a little bit more. Cool. You know, so I can do different looks. I don't know, whatever you're trying to do. Maybe I don't want that one. I want further apart. You know, so it's a really fun and easy tool to use just by clicking on that. Okay. Any questions so far? Nope. Cool. Can you export vector only that you design within DesignShop? So it's not an export, it's just a save. Okay, so yes, you can. It's just a save, not an export. That's really the key there. So if I go open a vector, and it really doesn't matter. I'm going to, whether it was done in DesignShop here. Let's see. C drive, designs, graphics. I'm going to open up this coffee cup. So, you know, this is a vector. I could have just as easily drawn this in DesignShop. But all you have to do, there's a few ways you can handle it. You can come over to just copy it, go over to Illustrator or whatever program you're going to use, and paste. So now I've got a vector there. So that's one option. Copy, paste. You can do File, Save As, change this over to an EPS or an SVG. Those are vector formats. EPS is usually easiest, and then you go save that off, you know, with what you want it to be called. So yeah, you can absolutely do just vector work within DesignShop and then save it off. And I'll be honest, I do that when I'm doing complex stuff because I've used DesignShop so long, it's easy for me. Whereas Illustrator, while I can use it, it makes me think. And when I just want to do something hard and not have to think, I'd rather do it here because I know how to use it well. So, yeah, it's a save as, not an export. That's really the key. Let's see, what else do we have? I want a pack of John Deere designs. Is there any one format that's better to use? Okay, so when you buy design, and this applies to not just John Deere, but anywhere that you're getting files from elsewhere, you generally can download whatever format you want. Our machines work with pretty much any format for the most part. There's a handful that it doesn't, but pretty much all the commercial formats you can use. Which is best? I don't know. That's a personal preference, I think. DSTs are pretty much a no-brainer. It's just, uh, oh my goodness, the words completely elude me. So a DST file is just a list of stitches that it's going to stitch, as well as color changes. No color information is saved within the file. There's no wireframes. It's just, here, go do these needle penetrations. That'll make this design. So they're a pretty basic, easy one to use. It does not save color information. If color information is important to you, then you're going to want to open up files like a HUS, H-U-S, or a JEF, or an ART, PES, EMB. Those all save color information within the file, which will get you closer to the actual colors that it was designed in. My preferences, I mean, I use DST EXP. When I want color, I just keep on opening the ones that save color information until one looks closest to what I want, and I use that one. So they also the same. So it's really, what do you want out of the file? And then remember, you can always save off the file as a OFM. So let's say you open a DST, you recolor it all. You can save it as a OFM, and that way the color information is now saved with the file. Okay? All right. Those were actually the only questions I had sent in ahead of time. So what questions might you guys have? Because, like I said, there was only a handful sent in before. So if you have any now, let me know. I'll kind of waste time for a moment while people can type in. We had a few more people just join. I see the numbers going up. So hi, and thanks for joining. Let's see. What questions? Oh, I'm out of coffee. That's sad. What questions might you have? Trying to see, did I miss anything else? I mean, for this one, if I have... Can the border tool be used for underlay? Yeah, I use it that way quite often. Well, yes, but there's other ways to do that, right? So let me go open my ghosts again. So remember, not only do you have this border tool, but you also have this primer tool. That primer is basically generating a underlay. So I can do a primer stitch like this, right? I can delete that. I can also go in and do a primer stitch and make that offset lower. So if I want it closer to my shape, right? So I can do things like that. So yes, you can use that. If you want to use the border tool specifically for underlays, yes, you can come over here, say border, say 2, okay. Whoa, I don't like that. I'm going to do it again. One moment. Border tool, let's make the offset bigger because we don't need it that close. And let's do 2, make that 150, there. And let's say I want this one to be a fill instead of a border. I can go over, hold my shift key down, click on that guy, and let's move it up there. And then I can go into the properties and change that to, 30, and underlay, turn that off, make this 0, density 30. There we go. Now I've got that. So I can turn it into an underlay. There's a question, is the border tool only in V12? Yeah, that's new to version 12. The primer tool is in V11, but the border tool is new to 12. Alberto, did that help you with your question? Let me know. What is the best way to do line work like Redwork? So it depends on what you're wanting to do for it, right? If you're doing Redwork like for like quilting sort of thing, or if you're doing it as a single design. So I've got this thing down here. Where's it? Decoratives. I drew it a long time ago and it happens to be here. So let's see, where's my horsey? Yeah, because this is essentially a Redwork design. Feathers. Did I not save it in this version? There it is. Okay. All right. So when you're going to do Redwork, this is one option you have, right? So Redwork is just doing a stitch of running line work, right? And then making it a bean stitch. So you see that's a bean. So you would just take your walk tool and, set that to be a bean. You can do 3 or 5 depending on how thick you want it. The stitch length, 20 is pretty good, but it really does not, whatever you want to do. And you would just, you know, run around and draw whatever it is you want. And there you go. You would have your design. Like this guy here, I drew that. And my intent was to be able to use that same pattern repeated on different things. So I actually set it up where the start and stop were on the same line so that I could come over here and do save custom shape, save it as a decorative, and I gave it a name. That way, when I can come over here, I can say, hey, I want a decorative of my horse. And I can draw this and my horsey will repeat. Okay, so that's what I was using this guy for, but it's the same thing. All you would do is take whatever design you want and you would trace around it. I received a DS license. So hang on, Sherry, does that help? All right, so I received a DS license a week ago. Problem, I copy and paste vector design from Illustrator DesignShop. The vector convert button is grayed out. Well, hang on. Let me go open up a vector. There we go. So what vector convert? Like these guys? Or that guy? Prit, let me know. Because it might just be which version you have. What was your license for? Is it professional or editor or lettering? Depending on the license, not all features are available. If you paste a vector in here, the only difference between a shape and a vector, a vector and a stitch out is a stitch direction, right? So I can add a stitch direction to that vector and now it's a sew out. So what line is grayed out that you're looking for? This convert? Or you got this stitch graphic region, so that's kind of fun. You know, let me know which one and we can see if we can get you some help there. But I know it does for the different versions, so. And when you open it, it says up here professional. Yeah, because if it says professional, it should just be a matter of selecting on the vector object and then clicking on convert. You know, clicking on this vector object. Button in top is grayed out. There's a bunch of buttons. This one? The one that says convert, or these guys up here? So you select the vector and then you would use your convert. Let me know, Pret, because don't know. On the top bar, these two then. The graphic assistant and this one. Make sure you have the file selected, right? So up here, every now and then, if it's on the wrong one, these will all be grayed out. You actually have to click in the area. So right now, there's nothing in that file. Whereas if I there's nothing to convert, so it stays grayed out. Whereas if I open this and I'm in this file, now this is an actual vector. So those will now appear because there's vector in there. Okay, so if this is not showing up as a vector, it's not going to show up right. And short of that, you can always come up here and try reset layout and see if that does anything. But you can also send in your file to applications@melco.com, what you're trying to work with your comment. And if it's something weird, we can look at it and try to help you that way as well. Okay, because I don't know. The only time I have those grayed out is when there's nothing relevant in the file to be able to work with. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Pret's typing in that it worked great in 11. It's not working here. I don't know what. I haven't seen that issue because you can see here I've got vectors and all of it's available and I'm running Pro as well. So what I would suggest is getting in touch with, give the Melco tech department a call and have them log in, and then they can look and see if what's going on. I've not, like I said, the only time I've ever seen that is when these grayed out, is when there's nothing relevant in the file to be able to work with. So this file has no vectors, so it's not going to show up, whereas this guy. Okay, so if it's with 12, just give, or whatever version it's in, it doesn't matter if it's 11 or 12, but give Melco a call and have them log in so that they can look in it. Yeah, I can understand it's annoying. I don't have that on here, so I don't know what to tell you other than to give them a call and see how they can log in. How do you import a vector from Illustrator? You go select all, copy, come over here, paste. Got my vector list. Now paste it in. Or you can do file open and go open the EPS file. Those are kind of your two options. So you can, where's another one? That's an EPS. So I can go open an EPS file. I can go copy and paste. I always copy and paste personally from Illustrator. Just copy it and paste it straight in. That's my preference, but copy paste or file open. It's not really an import, it's an open, because you're opening the file that you want to mess with. And now here's all the vectors. Okay. What other questions? Yeah, and this is kind of related to the question from of how do you export from DesignShop as a vector. It's not an export, it's a file save as. And then you go save it off as your SVG or EPS or whatever file type you want. Good morning, Crafter's Corner. Thanks for joining today. So, Prit, does that help any? Okay. All right, so those were all the questions we've had so far. If you've got anything else, type them in. Otherwise, I'm going to pop offline in a moment, and we'll be back next week. Next week it'll be Thursday, so I think. Maybe. Wake up, computer. Next week. Oh, next week's supposed to be Friday. Okay. So next week's supposed to be Friday. Okay, so you use the same workflow I use. Okay, so like I said, give tech service a call. And let them log in and they can work through it. Like I said, this is how I've always done it. It always seems to work. I've not had it not work. So let them log in and see what's going on. Might just be a reinstall. I don't know. I apologize. It's when you're dealing with that, sometimes it's way easier just to have them log in and fix it for you. Okay, so that way they can see specific to your computer what's going on. All right. Okay. Any other questions before I jump offline? No? Okay. You guys have a fantastic weekend. I will be back next Friday, it looks like, and we will see what else we can get done. All right. And remember, you'll see, excuse me, you'll see this on social media, and that's where I'm looking for what questions. So if I need to create examples ahead of time, if you type them in there, I can do it rather than you watching me act foolish drawing ugly things on screen while we're live. All right. You guys have a great weekend, and I will talk to you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.